So over the weekend, Joe Biden fell off a bicycle. So you might be asking yourself, why is an 80-year-old man riding a bicycle in public? Why isn't he riding it, in a safer area where it can be better guarded, or where at least there aren't a bunch of cameras there? And the answer is that Joe Biden is attempting to prove to people that he is alive. Now, what makes this scenario funny rather than really disturbing, of course, is the fact that Joe Biden didn't really get hurt. If Joe Biden had really gotten hurt, it's sort of like when I'm at home and I hurt myself. If I'm really hurt, then it's not funny. If I am a little hurt, then my wife laughs a lot. Okay, we're all allowed to laugh, guys. It's okay. It's okay to laugh at the fact that the president of the United States, who should not be bicycling in the physical and mental condition that he is apparently, that he fell off a bike, mainly because when I first read the headline, my first reaction was, oh, that's terrible. Wow, I'll bet that's really dangerous. And then you watch the video, and what you realize is that Joe Biden didn't fall off a moving bike. Joe Biden fell off a stationary bike. No, not like an Echelon or a Peloton or something. No, he was on an actual moving bike, and then he stops in order to talk to people, and he keels over like my 6-year-old son who's too short to reach the ground properly. It's a sight. It's a spectacle. That's for sure. I mean, he's actually become the bicycle meme. The guy riding the bike who sticks the bar into his own spokes. That is Joe Biden now. We're just making the memes come alive here during the Biden presidency. So here's what the video looked like. Here he comes. He's a bicycling. Okay, and you think he's moving, right? Okay, but now he's going to stop. He's going to stop and talk to some people. And then he leans over, his foot gets stuck. Oh, and down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. And he rolls around on the ground for a little while. According to the New York Times, the president did not need medical attention after he fell off his bike at a state park near his vacation home in Rehoboth Beach, according to the White House. Mr. Biden often takes bike rides during the visits to his vacation home, where he and his First Lady, Jill Biden, were spending the weekend. On Friday, they celebrated their 45th wedding anniversary. The president had been riding his bike in Cape Henlopen State Park when he had the mishap. He did not appear to suffer any injuries. The White House said he did not require any medical attention. And then, of course, the New York Times immediately starts covering for him. Biden is only the latest American president to take a tumble on the public stage. In 1975, President Gerald Ford fell while descending the stairs from Air Force One during a visit to Australia. Well, as you'll recall, Joe Biden also fell down the stairs 3 separate times while going up the stairs to Air Force One near the beginning of his presidency. Nearly a decade later, President Ronald Reagan slipped while climbing aboard his plane. Biden himself tripped last year while boarding the presidential aircraft. Biden's misfortune on wheels was not without precedent either. In 2004, George W. Bush took a spill while mountain biking at his ranch in Crawford, Texas. The next year, Bush crashed into a police officer during a bike ride in Scotland. In 2015, John Kerry, the Secretary of State, broke his leg while biking in the French Alps. Yeah, the difference is none of them were at the stage in life where a fall in the shower in which you break a hip is the prelude to a long and drawn-out time in the hospice. Like, this is the biggest problem, okay? The fact is that when Ronald Reagan ran for president in 1980, everybody said he was too old. He was 69 at the time. He's a spring chicken by our modern standards. When he left office, he was younger than Joe Biden when Joe Biden took office. And this underscores the problem that Democrats have. They're looking at this geriatric old man. I mean, and again, this is a man who is not in great shape for a 79-year-old. I know many people who are 79 who are in wonderful, wonderful shape. Joe Biden is not one of these people. Joe Biden is in a state of clear decline. The good news is, again, he's okay. We know he's okay because after all this happened, he then went to church on Saturday evening, which was, I would imagine designed in parts that he could demonstrate to everybody that he's healthy and fine, which is fine. I'm happy when people go to church. Anyway, so Joe Biden, he's walking out, and one of the reporters says, "Are you okay?" And here is what ensued.
Mr. President, how are you feeling? How are you feeling, sir? Good. There you go.
And then he hops like 2 times, and everybody starts laughing. Invisible pogo stick for Joe Biden, who can barely stand upright while he walks. Here's the problem for Democrats. You can prop El Cid on that horse, but if El Cid loses his balance, it becomes quite obvious to everyone that El Cid is no longer with us. And that is what the Democrats are banking on now. They're banking on a man who falls off non-moving bikes and who, to demonstrate his vitality, jumps lower than any white man has ever jumped, and that is saying a lot. That is really saying a lot. Well, none of this should be it should not, therefore not be shocking. There's a new poll out from Yahoo YouGov in which fully 2/3 of voters say that Joe Biden should not run again in 2024. 64% of voters. That is 9 points worse than say that Donald Trump should not. According to that poll, Trump also beats Biden in a direct head-to-head matchup. In the overall convincing 64% majority that would dissuade Joe Biden, 55% say no thanks to Trump. On the yes side, Biden pulled just 21%. Trump pulled 10 points more at 31%. Even among Democrats, a majority would not encourage a 2024 run. Only 43% said yes, he should run. It was even worse for Biden when narrowed down to those who voted for him in 2020. The nays had it 40-37. In the head-to-head, Trump beats Biden 42-39. Now, again, I don't think that is a wild endorsement of Trump, given the fact that Joe Biden is the most unpopular president in modern American history. And Donald Trump is only beating him by like 2 points. That's not a recommendation for Trump, but it is definitely a smack at Biden by the American public, who's looking at this guy and they're like, wow, maybe he doesn't have it. Maybe he doesn't have it. Even the folks on the left are now saying this. At The Atlantic, there was a well-trafficked article over the weekend by Mark Leibovich, who is a left-wing journalist. He says, why Biden shouldn't run in 2024. Yes, he's fit to be president right now, but he's too old for the next election. Now, here's the thing. He was too old last time around. And if you mentioned this, you were called ageist. If you pointed out that he was in a state of mental decline, that his faculties were leaving him, then you would be told that you were actually making fun of his stammer, which of course is ridiculous. None made fun of his stammer for his entire career. And now all of a sudden or alternatively, he is not with us. I mean, the number of clips that are floating around of Joe Biden not being able to speak words out of his face hole is incredibly high, because every time he goes in public, he cannot speak words out of his face hole, or he's falling off a bike, or he's falling down the stairs. But according to Mark Leibovich at The Atlantic, let me put this bluntly, Joe Biden should not run for re-election in 2024. He's too old. Biden will turn 80 on November 20th. He'll be 82 if and when he begins his second term. The numbers just keep getting more ridiculous from there. It's not the 82 that's the problem. It's the 86, one swing voter said at a recent focus group, referring to the hypothetical age Biden would be at the end of that very hypothetical second term. In recent weeks, says Leibovich, I've spoken with 10 official and unofficial advisors to the administration who have spent time around the president during these deranged and divided days in America. What has this been like for him is what I've been asking them, essentially. How is he holding up? Which, again, is like a great question you should be asking about your president. Is he okay? Is Joe okay? He's the president. He's the most powerful person on earth. The question shouldn't be, how is he emotionally and mentally holding up? That's what you ask about grandma in the nursing home. You shouldn't be asking that about the president of the United States. You ask, like, is grandma getting paranoid about the help stealing her jewelry? You don't ask that about the president of the United States, who's supposed to be in charge of things. They say, for the most part, that Biden is coping fine. Despite the 8.6% inflation, his depressed approval numbers, his vice president's worse approval numbers, the looming wipeout in the midterms, and all the other delights attending to Biden as he awaits the big round number birthday he has coming up in a few months. Here's another recurring theme. He just seems old, one senior administration told me at an official function a few weeks ago. There's nothing like the U.S. presidency to accelerate the aging process. This has been well documented, usually in those side-by-side photos of spry incoming presidents seen next to dramatically older-looking versions of themselves upon departure. Yet Biden keeps insisting that he will run again. Well, I mean, he is going to run again, because here's the thing. They cannot let him not run again. What are they going to do? Have a knockdown, drag-out primary between Pete Buttigieg and Kamala Harris? Those massively inspiring figures? And meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal is a similar piece talking about the fact that the Democrats do not know what to do. That it turns out that when you place the country in the hands of essentially an empty vessel, and all he had to do was just stand still, and he can't. He just keeps teetering over. When that happens, things start to look real ugly. According to the Wall Street Journal, Democrats expect Joe Biden to run in 2024. They're less sure if he should. Democratic insiders in Washington and key primary states expect Biden to follow through on his intention to stand for re-election and appear to have little appetite for casting him aside, though they expressed concerns about his advanced age and persistently low poll numbers. The White House has repeatedly said that Biden, 79, the oldest president to be sworn into office, intends to run for re-election. A person familiar with the president's advisors' thinking said they are planning on him running, and that the private conversations have matched the public statements. But Democrats are starting to have their doubts. Some potential candidates are visiting key presidential voting states and building a national profile. Key Democrats said they doubted many top-tier candidates would try to push Kamala Harris aside. See, this is the problem with picking an affirmative action candidate like Kamala Harris. When you do this, you look like a racist if you say, I don't think she's going to be good, and then you run against her. Her own poll numbers aren't better than Biden's. Democrats have a mixed view of how strong she would be leading a ticket. No, they don't. That's a lie. I'm sorry, that's not true. Democrats do not have a mixed view of how Kamala Harris would be leading the ticket. They're in a state of full, sheer panic at the idea of Kamala Harris leading a ticket. There's a woman who imploded in the primary so badly she dropped out before California after having a brief poll lead against all the other Democrats. This woman's so charmless. She makes Voldemort look like a hostess at a Hilton. And it's absurd. And here we are with them saying that they have mixed, they're not mixed feelings. That's what you say when you're talking about Kamala Harris. Oh, I have mixed feelings. You don't want to be a racist. Yeah, I don't have mixed feelings. Some noted the party's nomination fights in 2016 and 2020 included strong runs by Bernie Sanders, who has ruled out running against Biden, but not against Harris. Speculation among Democrats has touched on other 2020 contenders. Amy Klobuchar, who did amazing, and Pete Buttigieg, whose main draw is, again, that he took a paternity leave for 2 months and no one noticed. As well as Biden infrastructure czar Mitch Landrieu and Governor Phil Murphy of New Jersey. Phil Murphy of New Jersey almost lost a gubernatorial race to a person whose name I don't know in New Jersey. And Gavin Newsom of California, who is subjected to a recall vote in California. But there's no obvious person party leaders would see as the best pick if neither Biden or Harris topped the ticket. J.B. Pritzker, all 800 pounds of him, made a weekend trip to New Hampshire, the state that typically hosts the second nominating contest in the presidential primary after Iowa's caucuses. Based on what? His massively great governing record in Chicago, where 87 people get shot every weekend? Or are we talking about his massively great governing record on COVID, where Illinois has one of the worst per 100,000 stats on death in the nation, adjusted for age? He gave a keynote address at the state's Democratic Party annual convention on Saturday, and on Friday attended its splashy annual fundraiser. I don't know if this is 2024, 2028, 2032, but listen, we're grateful to have you in New Hampshire, said Representative Annie Custer, Democrat of New Hampshire. Eliciting laughter from a packed Manchester ballroom. J.B. Pritzker, come on. Come on. Good luck to all of you. So no, they are stuck with Joe Biden. And this is a problem for them because, as it turns out, Joe Biden is a terrible president. How's this for a title? Ben Shapiro Show subscriber destroys like button with clicks and logic. I'd watch that. Make it happen, gang.